So section 4.2, design, planning and building control, is probably one of the least understood and most problematic, if that's a fair expression, areas of the whole sales process. It's the thing that most people forget about, or kind of just ignore because it's too difficult. But it's actually not that bad. There's two areas. Firstly, planning and planning drawings, and secondly, building control and engineering. And think of them as connecting together just like that. So planning and planning drawings go together. So with planning generally, in most cases, the client will either had planning permission or got an existing building and that they're taking down and therefore doesn't require planning permission, or they need planning permission. Now, planning permission in general takes around 12 weeks. It can be slightly less, it can be slightly more. So immediately you've got a client that needs planning permission, you've immediately put a 12-week lead time in there at least. Planning, there's some sort of fairly easy rules of thumb that you can use on planning, and the best website I can show you on this, just bring my browser in here, is this one here. It's the government planning portal, and I'll put a link in your notes. You've got these mini guides, and there's a mini guide on outbuildings, which is what solid lots, carports and garages are classed as outbuildings. And then there's this really super easy guide, well worth a look through, and you can share this with clients. It's all public on the web, and it shows you some issues around or the things you have to consider around planning. So, do you have? Sorry, let me just. Where are we? Let's download the summary of the guide. It's probably a bit easier, actually. Yeah, there's a nice summary there. So I won't insult your intelligence by reading everything out, but it shows you what the building height needs to be, how far away from the house, can it be at the front of the house or can it be at the side of the house? And in some cases you don't need planning permission. It's done under what we call permitted development. And in other cases you do require planning. Certainly if the road's here, let's say, and the building is in front of the house, you will need planning permission. If it's at the side of the house or to the rear of the house, you may not need planning permission. But have a read through of it. It's they're actually very good guides, and that's why we haven't bothered producing our own, because these are really, really good. And that'll give you an idea as to whether your client's going to need planning. Of course, don't be put off if they need planning, because actually your knowledge and a little bit of help will create a further relationship that they can that they'll feel comfortable with. And one of the things we're considering offering them is a planning service. So as soon as they need planning, if they go ahead with our building, we'll get them through planning. So it will be probably an extra £250. And if they don't get through planning, then we don't obviously charge them for the building. But what we don't want to do is charge them what is effectively a cost price to get them through planning, and then they go with somebody else. So just be, if we do get onto offering that service, then just be aware of that. So that's planning and planning. Oh, planning drawings. Let me just call up. So when we sell a building, prior to the sale, we can offer the client planning drawings. They're normally around £200, £300. This is a standard set, but most clients don't want a standard building. They want something that is slightly different in style or shape. And we spoke about this before. It's our unique selling point that whilst this may be a standard width, I'm not sure whether it is or not, honestly, but the client will say, well, can I have it 9 meters wide rather than 8.8 meters wide? Can I have it 5.5 meters deep rather than 5 meters deep? So this is just an example of the type of planning drawing we provide. The planning authority will generally be very happy with this. And just to reiterate, these bays can be up to 3 meters wide and up to 6 meters deep. But if there are no walls, like in this case there is walls obviously, but if there's no walls around the sides, then we have to put in an extra post on the sides here to make sure the building is rigid enough. There is one exception to that, and we can do it on a case-by-case basis. For building developers and for small to medium builder developers, rather than putting that additional post in there, we can actually put in joists and a floor deck here. It's not necessarily a room and roof, but it's potentially storage space, and that can work really well with the builder developers. That's their house has got additional storage space above the car park area, and that's proving to be quite an attractive item for them. Building control engineering is a separate issue altogether. So the building control is about the quality of the building rather than the look of the building, and is a different inspector. Now, normally we don't provide any information up front on this, because our buildings are designed to building control standards, and if there's engineering required, we either cost in or charge extra for the engineering if it's a complicated build. So whereas planning drawings, clients will want to have those before they buy, or they'll buy the planning drawings separately. Building control we include within the price, and you'll see that when we come onto the pricing mechanism. So the engineering calculations are what are required to satisfy building control that the thing is structurally sound, and so those two things go together. So in terms of the sale process, if planning is required, planning drawings sold first, planning permission secured, and then we build it and give building control the information they need. And we just issue that to the client, so the client passes it on to building controls. We've talked about dimensions already. Generally, most buildings are going to be up to 3 bay. We can do as many bays as you like, but in most cases they're sort of 2-3 bay buildings. We can also, just going back to this drawing, a lot of clients have said, well, I've got planning permission, but I can only have a ridge height of 4 or 4.5 meters. Can you do that? Yes, we can. We can adjust the angle of the roof to get them under the planning permission height. Normally it's a building height issue if they've got a room in roof, so they've got their normal size here, and they've got a 45-degree pitch roof that gives them a decent sized room. We can juggle those figures, and I'll show you something that will help with that when we come on to the online estimator. But we can certainly get them under planning permission height if they're prepared to accept a slight loss of space in the roof if they want a room in roof. That's provided at no additional cost. Just be aware though that if you've got a sloping roof and you've got tiles on it, in most cases you want at least a 15-degree angle on the roof. Otherwise, the tiles tend to get tend to not work properly, and they get a lot dirtier, a lot more moss on them, and things like that. So a steeper roof actually makes a better runoff, and is generally a better idea.